Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review, an out-of-date Smackdown review. This is going to be a review of last night's edition of Smackdown, the Christmas Day edition of Smackdown. And hope you all had a good Christmas yesterday. I did. Had a good one with the family. Received a lot of cool stuff, which I'm going to do another video showing you all the stuff that I received. So that should be coming up later on tonight. But overall, SmackDown from last night, the Christmas Day edition, I watched it earlier, and surprisingly, it was a very good show. This was a very good SmackDown last night. It was a very wrestling heavy show. It flowed perfectly. It was fast paced. And it was, of course, the final SmackDown of 2020. The matches that we got were very enjoyable and good. One match was fine, but I'm like, why was it even booked on the show to begin with? They could have just left it off the show and gave us some other match. And the show ended with a nice moment, which is going to take us, which this guy is going to take us into 2021. So, which I will explain though, which I'll get to. But overall, SmackDown was a very good show. So let's jump right into the SmackDown review. So SmackDown opened up last night with Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns in a steel cage match, Universal Championship on the line. And this was a very good match. This was a very good steel cage match. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, they both gave it all they got here. And it was entertaining. And this was a rematch from TLC because Kevin Owens lost at TLC. So WWE ended up booking this rematch. So the only thing that they added was the steel cage. So the match started off with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up getting the upper hand early on Roman. He was beating Roman around and into the corner. Reigns then came back and delivered a boot to Kevin Owens and went for the pin. Owens ended up kicking out at 1. Reigns then launched Kevin Owens into the cage and then came back with a Samoan drop to Kevin Owens. And Reigns went for the cover. Owens ended up kicking out at 2. Kevin Owens got right back up. He ended up dodging a Superman punch from Roman. He ended up dropping him with a DDT. Reigns then ended up unloaded with with punches to Kevin Owens, sending Kevin Owens into the cage. Owens ended up kicking Roman in the head. So there was a point in the match where you had Kevin Owens. He was choking Roman with the ring ropes. And you saw Roman coughing and spitting because of that. There was a point where Kevin Owens was trying to escape the cage. Jey Uso got involved, and Kevin Owens ended up knocking him over with the cage door. So Kevin Owens ended up almost escaping the cage. Roman ended up stopping him. So Kevin Owens then ends up delivering a super kick to Roman. Roman ended up blocking the pop-up powerbomb with a Superman punch to Kevin Owens. Reigns ended up going for the spear. Kevin Owens ended up moving out of the way, and Roman ended up hitting the cage, the steel. Kevin Owens came back, ended up hitting the stunner to Roman. And Kevin Owens, had the chance to get out of the cage, and he was looking to exit the cage, but Jey Uso got involved again. He ended up handcuffing Kevin Owens to the side of the cage. So Kevin Owens ended up trying to fight Jey Uso off, but Jey ended up getting the cuffs on Kevin Owens fast, ended up locking in the cuffs on Kevin Owens very fast. So Kevin Owens was trapped. So Kevin Owens tried to hang onto the door and get his feet out to the floor. He couldn't even reach it. So Roman then saw that Kevin Owens was cuffed to the cage. Roman was shown smiling. Jey Uso ended up waiting at ringside for Roman to exit the cage. So Roman then slowly took his time coming down the ring steps. So Roman eventually got out to the floor, won the match, got out of the cage, won the match. And there you go. Roman ended up winning, still retained the Universal Championship, thanks to Jey Uso. So then, post-match, we had Roman end up raising the Universal Championship. Owens was still, sitting at the door with his legs hanging out. He was yelling at Roman and Jey Uso. And that was that. But overall, it was a very good cage match. Very entertaining. The wrestling was good here. And I'm loving what they're doing with this story with Roman and Jey Uso with Kevin Owens. So it's been very entertaining. And then we had Bayley and Carmella versus Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks versus Asuka and Charlotte. This was a triple threat elimination match where the women's tag team titles were on the line. First, before the match started, we had Asuka end up coming out, and then Charlotte ended up getting on the mic, and she ended up saying that Christmas came early, as her and Asuka are back on SmackDown. So Asuka was shown yelling in Japanese, and then this was just a very random segment where we have them come out, and then another superstar's music ends up hitting. They come out, they say like 3 or 4 lines, and another one comes out, they say a few lines. This was terrible, in my opinion. This was absolutely terrible. This little segment here. So Bayley ended up coming out. Bayley ended up saying that she's been impressive. And she ended up saying that while 2020 was a downer for everyone else, it wasn't for her because of how long she held the SmackDown Women's Championship. And then she got interrupted by Sasha. Sasha ended up coming out. Sasha ended up pointing out to who's the current champion. And then Bianca Belair came out. Bianca then bragged about how good she is and says, "We've never seen anything like her." So then out came Carmella. Carmella ended up coming out with her sommelier, Reginald, who is now being called, that's his name now, Reginald. So Carmella ended up calling the others a bunch of witches. She's like, no, let me rephrase that. Bitches. So Carmella then ended up showing off. She bragged a few more times, and then Sasha ended up shoving her, and that was that. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, because after that SmackDown went to commercial, so it ended that terrible segment there. So when SmackDown came back we had the match, which, the match was fine, but at the same time, I'm like, why was this match even booked? They shouldn't have booked this match. They could have gave us, another match. They could have booked another match in place of this. But the match was fine. And at the end of the match, Charlotte and Asuka end up winning, of course, retain the women's tag team titles. So I'm like, okay, let's move on. Well, the match was fine, but like I said, at the same time, why was this match even booked for the show? And so then after that, we went backstage and we saw the Street Profits. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, once again being walking billboards, hyping up the matches that we're going to see, like Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso, and Big E versus Sami Zayn, Lumberjack match. Intercontinental Championship was on the line. That was the main event. So typical WWE with them doing that with the Street Profits. And then we saw Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was carrying his Sammy Awards, his 2 Sammy Awards, and he was yelling at a staffer, a female staffer. And he was pissed off because of how his match got changed. They added a stipulation to his match. And he was questioning this staffer like, oh, who booked this match? Who came up with the idea? So the female staffer ended up walking off. Sami Zayn then ended up asking the Street Profits what's wrong and what they want. So the Street Profits ended up presenting Sami Zayn with a gift. So they end up opening up the gift, and it was a t-shirt. And on the t-shirt, it said, I was Intercontinental Champion. So the Street Profits then go on taunting Sami Zayn about the main event. Sami Zayn ended up yelling at the Profits saying that they aren't funny. So then Sami Zayn ended up storming off. And that was that. And then we went to Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. And this was a very good match here. And before the match got underway, Daniel Bryan ended up making his way out. He ended up heading to the ring, and Jey Uso ended up attacking Daniel Bryan from behind on the ramp. Jey Uso then unloaded on Daniel Bryan. He ended up taking Daniel Bryan back to the stage. He tossed Daniel Bryan into a Christmas tree and gifts that were there. So we had referees and officials run down to pull Jey Uso away. Jey Uso then ended up kicking Daniel Bryan in the ribs. Jey Uso then ended up scooping Daniel Bryan and slammed him on the ramp. So Jey Uso was shown yelling at Daniel Bryan, started hitting him again. SmackDown went to commercial, and that was that. Then when SmackDown came back from commercial, we saw Pat Buck, one of the officials. He was checking on Daniel Bryan at ringside. Referee was also there. Daniel Bryan crawled his way into the ring. Jey Uso was waiting in the corner. And the match got underway. And Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso went at it. Jey Uso then ended up beating Daniel Bryan down, started stomping away at him. Sent Daniel Bryan out and nailed a dive, which sent Daniel Bryan into the barricade. Jey Uso then launched Daniel Bryan into the ring steps, rolled him back into the ring to make the pin. Daniel Bryan ended up kicking out. Jey Uso then went back out of the ring. He ended up sending Daniel Bryan into the other set of ring steps there. Jey Uso chopped away at Daniel Bryan, took Daniel Bryan into the corner for another chop. Daniel Bryan came back and started chopping away several times at Jey Uso. He ran the ropes. He ended up ducking the clothesline from Jey Uso, but then got dropped with a small drop from Jey Uso. So Daniel Bryan ended up going for a running drop kick in the corner. Jey Uso ended up moving out of the way. Jey Uso then ended up delivering a splash in the corner to Daniel Bryan. And Jey Uso charged at Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan ended up backdropping him over the top rope out to the floor. Jey Uso then ended up clutching his ankle, which he injured when Daniel Bryan ended up backdropping him over the top rope. And then Daniel Bryan then ended up nailing a suicide dive, but he ended up hitting the announce table because Jey Uso ended up sidestepping. So Daniel Bryan then clutched his arm while Jey Uso was selling his injury, his ankle injury. Daniel Bryan ended up going to the top, and Jey Uso was also on top of there. Daniel Bryan then ended up sliding to the mat and ended up dropping Jey Uso into the top turnbuckle. Daniel Bryan then delivered a back suplex to Jey Uso. And at the end of the match, we had Daniel Bryan delivering the running knee to Jey Uso. Went for the cover. There you go. Daniel Bryan ended up winning the match. But overall, the match itself, it was very good, and it was entertaining. The wrestling from both Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso here was good, and it was highly entertaining. And then we had Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was backstage. She was interviewing Daniel Bryan, of course, who came off with the victory against Jey Uso. Daniel Bryan ended up saying that there's one thing he's always wanted to do in his life, and that's win the Royal Rumble. So Daniel Bryan announced, and he ends up declaring himself into the 2021 Royal Rumble. So there you go. Daniel Bryan has declared himself into the 2021 Royal Rumble. That's awesome. So Sami Zayn ends up walking up. He ends up running his mouth to Daniel Bryan. And Sami Zayn ended up going on and he ended up saying that he will retain the Intercontinental Championship. Then he will be at the Royal Rumble to laugh at Daniel Bryan for failing. So Sami Zayn ended up walking off. Daniel Bryan ended up saying, Santa Claus must have forgot to bring Sami a PS5. Which I thought that was funny. PS5s, everybody's trying to get a hold of them. They end up selling them out. Nobody could find them. I'm going to wait on it. I want to get a PS5, but I'm going to wait on it. I don't need it, that quick at the moment. I want to try the Spider-Man game, but, I'll wait on that. I'll wait to get a PS5. So, but there you go. Like I said, Daniel Bryan is declaring himself into the 2021 Royal Rumble. I wish WWE, whenever, the Royal Rumble comes around, I wish WWE would do again like they did back then with the tumbler, where they would roll the tumbler. Certain superstars would reach their hand into the tumbler and they retrieve like a piece of paper with the entry number on how, their entry number in the Royal Rumble. You see certain superstars' reaction to that. Some superstars' reactions. They liked it. Some of them were disappointed. I wish WWE would bring that back again. Because that's what, in my opinion, when I think of the Royal Rumble, the build to the Royal Rumble, I always think of that where they would get the tumbler, and certain superstars would reach in and grab a piece of paper and know what their spot in the Royal Rumble is, where the audience don't really know. The fans don't know what number they drew. So I wish they would do that again. And then we had the main event. Big E versus Sami Zayn. Lumberjack match. Intercontinental Championship on the line. So for the Lumberjacks out there, we had the Street Profits. We had Otis, Chad Gable, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura. We had Angel Garza back there. I'm like, why is Angel Garza there when he's on Monday Night Raw? So we had Kalisto, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, Akira Tozawa, another one a part of Monday Night Raw. Drew Gulak also. Drew Gulak also was out there, a part of Monday Night Raw. Apollo Crews, Lince Dorado, Corbin, Cutler, Blake, Steve Cutler, Wesley Blake. So those are the Lumberjacks that were out there. So the match got underway, which this was a good match here for the Intercontinental Championship, a Lumberjack match. So we had Sami Zayn and Big E. They ended up blocking up as the match began. Big E ended up backdropping Sami Zayn, ended up going for the cover. Sami Zayn ended up kicking out at 2. Sami Zayn ended up stomping away while Big E was down. He ended up kicking Big E out to the floor. Then we saw Roode and Ziggler end up grabbing Big E, but Corbin and Cutler and Wesley Blake end up attacking him. They end up rolling him back into the ring. Sami Zayn went to work on Big E. Big E was sent back out. Started getting beat up by the heel Lumberjacks out there. Sami Zayn ended up going for a suplex. Big E ended up countering it and rolled Sami Zayn for a 2 count. And there was a point in the match where Sami Zayn was trying to get away. He was trying to get out of the match, but the Lumberjacks ended up scooping him over the barricade because Sami Zayn ended up going over the barricade. They ended up scooping him up, threw him back into the ring. And also there was a point where Big E ended up dodging the haluva kick from Sami Zayn. Sami went over the top. Big E then charged Sami Zayn with a spear, which sent Sami out to the floor. They both landed on the outside. So we had the Lumberjacks end up attacking Big E, then end up rolling him back into the ring. Sami was fighting off another group of Lumberjacks. And because of that, a big brawl breaks out between the Lumberjacks outside, which is what Sami Zayn wanted so that he could escape. So Sami Zayn starts running up the ramp, and Apollo Crews ended up seeing him. Apollo Crews then ran up the ramp, ended up tackling Sami Zayn. So we saw like the Street Profits, Apollo Crews, Otis, I think it was, they end up carrying Sami Zayn back to the ring. And they tossed Sami Zayn back in. Sami ended up turning around and he started swinging, but Big E ended up hitting the belly-to-belly suplex. And then he did the run and splash onto Sami Zayn. And then Big E was ready to nail that big ending on Sami Zayn, so he was waiting for Sami Zayn to get up. Big E then ended up dropping Sami Zayn, of course, with the big ending. Went for the cover. And there you go. Big E ended up winning the match. Big E is your new Intercontinental Champion. And what a Merry Christmas it was for Big E. Post-match, Big E ended up going to the the commentary table, he was yelling at Corey Graves about the prophecy being fulfilled. He was like, the prophecy is fulfilled. The prophecy is fulfilled. So Big E was showing respect, with Corey Graves there. Big E ended up coming back to the ring, started celebrating with everyone with the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn had a disappointment look on his face. He was sitting up against the barricade at ringside. So the babyface Lumberjacks end up coming into the ring. They celebrated with Big E. They hosted Big E up on their shoulders. And then we had Pyro end up going off. Cafe starts falling in the Thunderdome. And, the celebration was still continuing. Sami Zayn looked to be crying at ringside because of him losing the Intercontinental Championship. And that was how SmackDown went off the air. But what a moment it was for Big E winning the Intercontinental Championship. But overall, SmackDown, very good show last night. We had good matches aside from the women's match, like I said, which was fine, but it could have been kept off the show. So anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all again later tonight. Show off some of the Christmas gifts that I received, so be on the lookout for that. So until then, see you all later tonight.